Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. Well, it's evening here, but yeah, thanks for coming by. We've not really streamed much over the last month or so. I think everybody's been a bit busy and whatnot. So myself, Shin and Adam were free, so I thought we'd do a bit of a stream. Now, we are, as what happens is when you get into the realms of how many videos and streams that we've done on this topic, you do tend to cover the same topics repeatedly. Um, but the beauty of this whole Lorne saga thing, in my opinion, is it never seems to get quite too old. I don't, unless you word for it's like you can always approach it in a different way. It encompasses so much, the whole Lawn Saga, because it's multi-layered that it's always fresh and new in a way. That's how I feel about it. And one of the most captivating and engrossing parts of what Lawn's many facets is the humour, and ultimately is how does he, why is he so funny as a character? And Adam is what I would call a connoisseur of comedy for a number of reasons. He spends most of his free time between watching VR porn and doing other things and harassing pregnant.
Watching Southern women.
Yeah, you watch a lot of comedy shows. You used to do the comedy circuit, and I think everybody who's involved in the community has some level of sense of humour. And it's not lost on my good friend Shin's Koala either. So I thought that we would just have a bit of a conversation about pinpointing the funny aspects of his character, why he's so funny, what is it that we specifically like about, there's different sort of, there'll be different aspects of the overall saga that's funnier. So there's not just him as a character. It's like, what part of it? Is it the phone calls? Is it the catfishing? Is it that he's just dumb? What is it? So just, yeah, so I'm just kind of wondering, I hope you've made some Shin-style notes, dude, by the way, on your little yellow legal pads for this.
Yeah, I have, but not on this issue. But that's yeah. There's so many things. It's just so many things. I think when it comes down to actually as a performer, a comedic performer, like I've said so many times, he hits his mark. His timing's good. His rage is so timely. Everything's hilarious, and he has like the tools and the chops to be, you know, a comedian, I guess, or whatever. If it weren't for the fact that he's a horrible, disgusting pedophile, but beyond that, I think one of the funniest things about it is what happens is he's inserted us and himself into this catfish world, and the catfish have created this thing too, where we all have in our mind's eye what's going on, and there's cast of characters everywhere roaming around, usually in hospitals or rehab centers or whatever, and he's acting normal within those situations, but we know the real world, and that's what we juxtapose that to real life and how he's acting, and it's hilarious. I mean, the distinction, the contrast, everything else. I mean, there's just so many elements to his comedy. I don't know. I'm not going to call him a genius.
I disagree that he could be a comedian though, because all of his comedy is like unintentional. If he ever actually tries to be funny, his like wit and humor is really immature and basic.
Yeah, I agree. He does that a lot, right?
I think you mean, Shin, as a comedy. I might be speaking for you here, but do you mean as like a comedy character? As like if he...
Right. Cartoon almost.
It's almost like, and I know this winds some people up, but I'm going to kind of make the comparison of The Room. It's like what Johnny Wiseau eventually did was embrace that movie. It's like he didn't intend for it to be funny, but what he did is he realised, I've made something quite special here, and he embraced it, and it became funnier. If he sort of fought against it, it wouldn't work. And I think if Lorne did that, but the problem with that is he would have to fundamentally change his whole character and everything about him to do that. He tried to do it with the T-shirt, selling the T-shirts. He did the stupid videos where he would respond to comments. He, and this is, I think this is, yeah, Adam's laughing thinking about it. But just think about
Yeah.
this, guys, right? Just think about how funny this is. There's so many moments in the Lorne saga that we not necessarily overlook, but we concentrate on the catfishing.
But
When he had his own channel and he was trying to make money out of it, and he was responding to we've not even done this yet, responding to comments in his videos, selling T-shirts. Don't yell at me, unsensitive. What he was trying to do was trying to embrace it, but failed miserably because he didn't get it. He'd never understood. He lacked any. He hasn't got a fucking shred of self-awareness. So of course he can't embrace that humor because he doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand why we found it funny at all.
but I think like with The Room though, the thing is what Tommy Wiseau did was make a really bad movie, and then he embraced it when it took a cult following. But for Lorne to actually have any sense of redemption, or to actually like turn his sort of people that follow him out of morbid curiosity into some sort of followers, he would have to actually admit to what he did and say that he's
Exactly.
changed and
That's what I mean
reformed.
by
And
fundamentally change his character.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he'll never do that. And even if he did that, there's still going to be a lot of people that wouldn't give him a second chance just because of his original crime was so heinous. But that's why I don't feel bad laughing at him. Like that's why, like his comedy is unintentional, and that's why it's brilliant because like on his end, it's real. Um, and he doesn't see how ridiculous it is. But I don't feel any sort of remorse or guilt for laughing over this window licker because he's a degenerate.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam, I didn't mean to intimate that he has comedy chops, like in the traditional sense, the conventional sense, anything like
No,
that. I just thought in his, of course, it's unintentional. There's no question about it. But I'm talking about in the catfish world that he and the catfish have created. It's like a cartoon, right? And he's a great cartoon character in that thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you know, that's him being himself. That's unintentional. And of course, when he cracks these stupid jokes, like good, even stupid things like "good and you," and he thinks
Yeah.
that's something that's such a catchphrase and is
I
so
like being
clever.
humorous. It's something to do.
Right? It's
That
something to do.
was so funny.
All this, all this stuff. I mean, he falls flat on his face, but even that is funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
If you
fact that
think
he
but you
wasn't funny
couldn't.
by saying he was funny is funny.
If someone
but it's
had
funny
written
that
it,
he
it
thought he
wouldn't
was
be
funny,
funny.
you
It's
know?
funny because it's real. I
Right,
think, like, if
right.
it was a cartoon, it would be weird.
But
If
that's
it
why
was
you got to
all
separate
someone's
the two worlds.
imagination,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's why I'd make a distinction between the two worlds. We all live in the catfish world. We don't know if any of us, none of us would survive in that world. I don't think, except for him. I mean, it's just those crazy shits going on everywhere, you know. And
Well, I spoke to him. Remember, for all of I lasted 30 seconds in that world. Not even that long. He called me a retard.
oh,
God,
that's a
he
bad
nailed you
pun. That's
proper,
nice.
didn't he?
I mean, I was sort of put on the spot though. Like, I remember I was in. It was one of those late night TCAP radio things, and they're like, "Right, we're going to call Lorne now." And they're like, "Adam, you speak to him." And I was, "Oh, what am I meant to do?" And so that weird Edward Snowden thing came
That
about.
was it. I remember that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That was good. He knew that Edward Snowden didn't have a British accent. That surprised me.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even know what accent Edward Snowden had, so I just said that. But yeah, but I didn't last long in the catfish world. But he wouldn't be interested in me because I'm a man anyway. You can, if you're a woman or have a woman's voice at least,
Yeah,
then it's a lot easier to get him on the hook, I believe.
exactly.
I
I don't
think
know. It's just a weird world they constructed. It's weird.
I've not heard the half of it as well. I remember when I heard the TSA, is it TSA call, the airport call
Oh
from?
yeah, I was just thinking of that because his perception of what goes on in life, like women are just constantly looking for
Right,
cocks to suck and fuck, and men are
right.
just screaming at each other.
And people in relationships throughout the day send naked pictures and dick pics to each other. You know, I mean, Hey, honey, I'm at my job here at my desk. Take a look. He's sending us a dick pic.
yeah,
That's
yeah, I'm in
normal.
my truck and I'll just whip my cock out.
Yeah,
Do you know what, like, I find funny about Lorne's perception of the world is how small he thinks it is. I can't get my head around how he's not sat down and thought, how does
All
everybody
the
know each
catfish
other?
know each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how is it? How is it that he's in a relationship with this Jamie, who's who's a fucking robot, who's really a supermodel, but now she's engaged to Casey Monroe. But the other Casey Monroe she spoke to are all
characters are great.
fake.
Well, the characters are based on what the limited amount of people who've been in Lorne's life, right? You know, the
Yeah,
Casey Moreaus, the Xaviers, poor Xavier. You know, it's funny. You would think that Lorne would catch on that the person he should really think is behind all this is Will, you know, because he found out that Will was being Jamie for a year and a half or whatever it was. You know, you would think you'd be more pissed at that guy than Xavier, who you have very thin evidence on anything, doing anything to you, even knowing who you are.
The Xavier law is something that I really, because I'm sure there's calls we haven't heard where it's been sewn into his brain. I'm sure a lot of it was around the sort of Ramona Ember time, and he's basically just he doesn't even exist. But every time they nearly get caught out, it's Xavier did it, and he just believes he's got this mad nemesis trying to ruin his life.
The guy's oblivious to everything. And you imagine if like some processor or constable comes and serves him one of Lorne's complaints. You know, it's like you're being sued, sir. For what? Who does this guy?
Oh well, we haven't got that long left, have we? Until he's coming
I
after
think it's
everyone.
over. I think the
Oh
deadline is
really?
passed. Yeah,
Oh, did the
I believe
countdown
so.
end? I thought there'd be like some sort of party.
Even his book was funny, wasn't it? The Taken Abroad. There was lots of laugh out loud moments in that thing. Like the same humor spilled out into that, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, let's get some examples of that.
Well, just the food spread was amazing. Like, listen to this, Adam. Right, there's a guy.
Well, that's unintentional. It's unintentional.
Oh yeah, it's not comedy writing. This is
Yeah.
this is what I mean. It's the same type of humor. So you have a guy who's come back from Iraq, right, with PTSD.
Yeah.
Even though it's
Yeah.
not been diagnosed officially, we just have to assume he's got some form of PTSD. So what did his family do? Ordered him a surprise party just to jump out on him and scare the shit out of him, which was a great idea. And then there's
They lit
no
off
He's coming back from
firecrackers.
war-torn Syria. Quick, everyone hide and wait to jump out on him.
Exactly. So, not only that, so they get
The
like
spread.
there's this fucking there's a food spread, right, and the book isn't very well. It's not very well described. It's the writing. It goes without
Yeah.
saying. It's exactly like you'd think it'd do. It would
Can I
be.
guess what's in the food spread?
Yeah,
Could you describe?
ham cubes. Go on, Shin. Can
Wait.
you remember, dude?
Yeah.
Is it-
First of all, it's not just
Mashed
ham cubes,
potato.
It's
Ha-
mashed
wait,
potatoes.
what are ham cubes?
Well,
We don't know.
ham that's cubed up.
That sounds horrible. Like the most
Yeah,
processed
it's-
ham possible.
It's fantastic. Just watch one of Lorne's cooking shows. I think he puts that on a salad or something. But the ham cubes weren't by itself. They were in mashed potatoes with corn. I remember that so vividly.
That
Thinking,
sounds
I would look at that
disgusting.
at a buffet line and go, "What the fuck is that?"
I thought it was going to be more obvious than that. I thought it was going to be like hamburgers, hot dogs, like a kid's birthday party spread. But that's just
No, it's
what
ham.
the fuck
It's
is
ham
that?
throughout the whole book. Andrew, can you remember him eating anything but ham as a protein throughout that whole book?
No.
I don't either.
And there was a lot of clock stirring. It was very repetitive in certain areas. He didn't go into any detail that you needed, just load of irrelevant detail on stuff that was irrelevant. And that food spread, what was funny about it is you could tell he was just, the reason he wrote it is because when he was writing the book he was hungry because he was in prison and wasn't getting fed properly. So of course he's going
It sounds
excited.
It sounds like prison food. Like if you just got back from fighting in the war and your family gave you this fucking bowl of slop with like potatoes with ham and corn in it. And like, there you go, delicious. Like, I'm going back to fucking Afghanistan.
Yeah. Oh, this isn't the funny part, but Enter the Codverse mentions, I mean, and all his victims feel sorry for him as he kills them.
Yeah, that was. I mean, we've talked
That
about that
that was
endlessly, haven't we?
infuriating.
But yeah, the fact that the woman who'd been kidnapped and was tied to a tree and he had a knife and was going to kill her felt pity for him. I mean, you just like that we didn't find that funny because I remember Tiffany just enraged over
I was
that.
enraged. I think Tiffany calmed me down,
She
but
actually
then she
went,
got
"Oh
enraged.
fuck off, dude."
Right.
That's actually what she said. But that's more kind of because Lorne obviously has this side to him that enrages us. Even if you let's put aside the most glaring obvious negative side to his whole being, which is the child predatory aspect. Just his personality traits, his arrogance, his ignorance, his entitlement.
Selfish.
Yeah, his selfishness. And I think
Mm.
Anna Rourke just said there he's so lacking of any true capacity for love. And I think I remember when we were going through the book, Shin, you highlighted this as a really good point, is that if you look at the way the main character loves his girlfriend or loves whoever, or the love that is supposed to be showed between the characters in the book, it's so superficial and fake, exactly like he thinks it is. You know, he can't write it. And it's almost like it's such an enlightening book if you're looking at it, if you're trying to figure out what kind of a character he is. It's really fascinating because it literally is his life. You have to sift through it a little bit. But that's
Yeah, well, it's like what he wants now in a relationship. He only wants the trappings of a relationship. He knows he would, if it was face to face or whatever it is together, it wouldn't last very long. You
I
know,
think.
he
Well, I
just
think
wants the trappings of it. He just wants to be wanted, or
that's because he's never had a like a actual relationship and has had to understand the sort of give and take that happens inside it. All he's learned is from television and his own wants and
right,
needs.
right, and just strange ideas about it. You know, that
Mm.
possessiveness and control and aggressiveness and hostility is part of a relationship. You know,
He
somewhere
he
along the
sort
line,
of
he
acts,
learned all that.
I think,
Hmm?
like a lot of us did when we were 15, 16 and got our
Right,
first girlfriend and didn't really know how to behave. And so
right.
you were a bit jealous and possessive, like she's talking to another guy, she's gonna leave me, fuck.
Of
But
course,
Lorne's
yeah.
never like got past that stage and realized that that's not
Insecure. Exactly. Exactly. You know,
like
when we go back to his book, there was some intentional attempts to make the reader laugh. You remember any of those, Andrew?
nope, not off the top of my head. I'm sure there were, but I think they were
He
just
called,
silly things, weren't they? Like
well, there was banter between him and his homoerotic friend, Pablo, but there was,
that's right,
there was
yeah. Oh, do
the
you
big,
remember when he slept in his bed because he
yeah,
wanted to be
because
closer
after
to
he
him?
died. But
He slept in
do
his
you
dead
remember the
friend's
joke?
bed to be closer to him.
do you think Lorne holds like
Lazy bones. There it
Lazy
undefined
is.
Bones, yes, well done,
Lazy,
Winchester.
and there's another one. Remember, Tenderhead. Where's Tenderhead? Remember
tenderhead?
Tender Feet.
Ten-
Those really
ten-
landed, those jokes, didn't they, to the reader?
Big
We
time.
we
do you
couldn't
think
we couldn't
Lorne's
stop
a bit
laughing.
gay?
Uh, well, subconsciously, consciously, he would
Yeah,
never do something like that.
subconsciously, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's. Maybe it's just because of like maybe it's just, you know how some people they don't get any of anything for a long time and then they just sort of go, do you know what? I'll take whatever I can get, man, woman,
yeah.
monkey.
Animal.
Well, you know, a hole is a hole. A dick has no eyes. You know what? But but you got to remember, if the theory holds true that he's a virgin, at least he's never had intercourse with a woman, and he's admitted to having, you know, whatever relations, consensual or otherwise, I don't even know, with his brothers, then, you know, his only act has been gay. whole life.
I'm actually starting to change my mind. I think the whole brother thing was made up completely, and none of that
let's
happened.
not go down that road. Let's not go there. We might do another
That's
conversation
my
about that
favorite
at some
topic.
point. No, I don't know. It's very intriguing because it opens up a lot of doors for us to go down with regard to his behaviour. It's just, yeah, I don't feel comfortable talking about it at the minute.
Well, I don't think there's. I mean, this is my personal feeling. I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about the evidence.
No,
You know, talking about what
it'll
he's
have to
presenting.
be another time because it's not the
No, of
fact of the
course.
the fact of the matter
Yeah.
is it's for a start we're supposed to be doing like a stream about his humour and that's not funny.
Well,
Yeah, well,
isn't
me and my
it?
brothers when we were younger, it's like where's the comedy aspect of this?
I think it's hilarious.
I think it's hilarious,
man.
William.
That's cold, man. That's cold.
Yeah, you cold
He
bastard,
looks-
man. What's happened to you?
But like the thing is, he may have made it up, and if he didn't, like he definitely sucked his brother off. So either way, it's pretty funny. Like it's
Right,
Lorne,
let's-
isn't it?
On that note, let's leave it there, shall we?
Andrew, what do you
that's
think?
funny. I think we're not going there. Anyway, yeah, maybe another time. But
Yeah, we'll talk about that another day.
Yeah.
We'll put aside
We'll
like
save
a
the best
6-hour
till
stream
last.
to
Well,
really
okay,
get into
without
that.
actually talking about it, what I think is funny is the way he inserts it when he was talking to Tiffany.
bad choice
and they,
of words there, dude.
What's that?
Bad choice.
Oh
of
yeah, I
words.
know. Sorry.
The way he
But-
inserts
Just
the
can't
way-
help
the
yourself,
way he
can you?
tries- The way he just
What I think
drops
is
it, right?
the way he inserts it is really bad. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. What I
The
meant
way he
was the way he
inserts
inserts his penis into his brother's. I didn't really
Brother's
mean to.
mouth.
No, figure of speech. Didn't really mean to say that.
Yeah,
But
the
when
worst
when
part.
he's on the hot seat, with especially Tiffany, you know, he tells, well, I don't know why I did that, especially what happened to me. He's trying to throw himself as a victim in that case. I think that's hilarious.
I'll tell you very, very briefly, just for in case anybody who's rolling their eyes. The reason I don't like talking about it too much is because if it did happen, it's a very sensitive matter, and I know it's all out there. It's just, I think, even somebody like Lorne might deserve to have some form of privacy. However,
What are you talking about? He's the one who told
Yeah.
us.
I know, but what I mean is, it's up to me. It's like my integrity or not, or whether I discuss it in detail. It's like it's out there, and I get it.
Okay.
It's just, and also you bring in other people into it. And I know we're not mentioning all the names. We don't know. Well,
Yeah.
actually, we do know
Right.
we do know who it was.
Right.
Well,
Look,
we've got a
that's important,
suspicion,
though.
but,
But
there's
what I
plenty
mean
of
is,
brothers.
if he's made it all up, which is a possibility, you're dragging people into very serious things there, and I know there's going to be no like legal issues. It's why I always was never comfortable mentioning Molly's name. I know I've kind of got over it now because I've just said her name, but it just felt kind of wrong, and I know that was very different because she was young back then. So that's it. But let's fucking move on, right? Whoa. Let's fucking draw the line there, yeah? Because I said 5 minutes ago, let's not talk about it.
Will you agree with this though, Andrew? If the type of person who would make that up would be Lorne, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
a really horrible thing to do if you made that up.
But right, I'll have to counter that and say, of course you're right. But the problem with Lorne is because he isn't a reliable reporter. Lorne gets a little bit of truth that he remembers or what he thinks was a memory, and then twists it and shapes it to the point where he actually believes he's telling the truth, where it actually bears no resemblance to what happens as what has happened, and that's what makes the Virgin thing impossible to decipher.
The story he reported paints him as like the victim, but the one that receives the pleasure. So that's why it's most likely bollocks, and that's why we shouldn't give it credence or worry about anything because it came out of Lorne's mouth, and everything that comes out of his mouth is
I'm not
bullshit.
even evaluating the allegations. I'm just saying, just looking at it from a bird's eye view, he's inundated with so much. He has to acknowledge so much that's wrong with him, and the fact that he goes to that and tries to give himself some breathing room, I think is.
No, I agree.
Somebody
And
like Lorne would
what
do
I
that.
would say is if we do finally figure out bank statements. That's Blue Boy just said all his bank statements. That's fucking hilarious.
Why?
Hey, right, let's quickly move
interesting
topic
reading.
into one of the funniest things that Lorne has done is pay for a psych evaluation to favour his
Oh yeah.
pretend girlfriend,
Blue Boy.
which ended up incriminating him and making him look even worse. Like what? How could that possible?
wait.
How could that be possible?
You've left out the most important part is he then took the psych evaluation to send it to his girlfriend without reading it.
And as I understand it, he had to borrow the money off his mother to fucking pay for it. Or he got a bank loan. It was something like that. Blue Boy will have to, I believe, will know the information to that in the chat if you could enlighten us. So
it just confirms he's a pedo.
That's like, what's funnier than that? Yeah, no, Blue Boy, was it a bank loan or did he get it from his mum? But that's so funny though. Like, why? There doesn't seem to be any excuse for that kind of stupidity.
There isn't. Like, you'd think you'd do something that important to prove to someone that's supposed to be your lover that you're a reformed character and that you no longer fancy kids. And you look at like page 1, which is your own fucking statement, and go, right, that's right then. Not even realizing that you wrote that page yourself. Like, well, if page 1's fine, the rest are gonna be fine. Here you go, love. This proves I'm not a pedo. But wait, this says you're a pedo.
You could write a movie just based on that premise, that plot outline. You could write a comedy movie based on that. The pedo who exposed himself or something. You know, it's just unconscionable that he would do that. You're right,
I
Adam.
think he
We
read it.
left out the most funniest bit, the fact that he sent it over without reading it. No, Blue Boy, the question was, did he get a bank loan to pay for the report? Oh, hang on. He's just mentioned it. For the site report, he put that and paid
Credit
for his
card.
lawyer with a credit card he opened specific. Wow.
He never intends on paying. So that's
Well, of course.
okay. Lorne thinks that credit money is it's free money, somehow public assistance.
But that's
Says,
so
"Get
funny
alone."
though. So was the psych eval when it mentioned about the girl in the advertisement, the 7-year-old girl or the 9-year-old?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Is it the
National
same?
anthem, yeah.
It's the same report, and that potentially, that's like the most funniest, ridiculous, disturbing part. Where on earth did that come from in his brain? This is a psych evaluation about his predatory instincts, right? Or at least that's what he was trying to gain. He was trying to get confirmation that he wasn't that way inclined, even though he is. So he thought that he wasn't, but he is. Very strange. Anyway, where the hell did that come from? If he's just an innocent kind of thing that popped up and said, oh, by the way, I just thought I'd mention, it's not in relation to anything we're talking about, but I find it really offensive that a 9-year-old girl is on an advertisement because I think predators might look at her. Like, you just decided to mention that just randomly. You didn't think that might be inappropriate to mention at this time?
No, he thought that would help him.
That's what's so funny. Like, what, dude? Oh, it's like I'm almost frustrated that someone can be so stupid.
We all saw it, didn't we? We all saw the video, and there was nothing sexual about it whatsoever.
I laughed my fucking head off when I saw that for the first time. Genuinely, guys, right? When I saw that advert, because someone was kind enough to put a link to the video in the comments of one of my videos, so I clicked on it and I saw the girl, and I just burst out
In a
laughing.
flash. She
Because
was gone.
I was expecting to see a sexualized child in a bikini where they just sexualized her and made it disturbing. And I was, I wasn't looking forward to it, to be honest. And then I just saw this like little girl in a like rosy dress or whatever the fuck it was, skipping it. I'm like, what the fuck?
It was It was leggings. She was wearing leggings.
You couldn't even see anything like.
Yeah. It wasn't. it wasn't even a skirt that, like he said, it was just like
It was a
white
blouse and
leggings that
leggings.
almost looked a bit skin colored, so that you might think she wasn't. But like they were clearly leggings, and
Well,
it was.
that's also the way his mind works too. He sees a miniskirt when he sees that situation. And again, it was less than a second. It was happened very fast. But I guarantee he got up every morning, set his alarm to see that
So
thing. But
what is it about that video that stood out in Lorne's mind? Because
It's
what
a
a
child.
he's
So
exposing himself.
it's sort of long hair and a little body, and he is fundamentally a paedophile. But he thought by saying you shouldn't put that on TV because it's gonna make
people
grown
wouldn't
men
make
have
the
a wank.
correlation. Hang on a minute, why is he mentioning this?
Yeah, exactly. Like
He's trying to cooperate with the government, in his mind. He's trying to say, hey, listen, I know what pedophiles get turned on by. Listen
yeah.
to me. As a matter of fact, give me a job here. I'll help you out with your jobs. I'll tell you what's going to turn these guys off. That he's trying to do
I'm
that.
surprised. I doubt he has the cultural knowledge, and in fact, I can't remember. But wasn't it earlier this year or last year? There was that Italian name brand that got him a big trouble for sexualizing kids. And if he'd seen that and reported that, it might have been fine. But this was just a video of like 2 seconds of a kid, but it's enough for him to,
Wearing
But
clothes.
he foreshadowed this with Mr. Penis protects children. He's like, well, if Mr. Penis gets hard over a kid, they better get her off my TV screen.
See, that's probably one of the funniest parts about his real life situation. He thinks he's saying something that's going to give him some kind of credit, some value, some feather in his cap,
He
right?
thinks he's
And they're
smarter.
looking at the thing totally different. So they're looking at it like we do. Like, okay, so you are admitting she's titillating to pedophiles. How would you know that? Well, she's titillating to you, right? That's the way they're looking at it. He thinks, okay, they'll let me off now because they'll know I'm still trying to protect kids. What? We don't want you to protect kids.
We want you to stay away from them. That's what that's what this has all been about for so long.
Like when he says, he says, you don't understand. I love you. Well, we don't want you to love me. I mean, the only thing that counts is if she loves you back. You remember that Sam Pendleton call where, he finally said, look, Ramona, I love you. See how easy that was? See
the
how easy
therapist.
that was, Lauren? What's that?
The therapist call.
Yeah, and Lauren said, well, I don't even remember how he responded. But the point was, unless she loves you back, you can love somebody all you want. They don't owe you anything because of that. It's just, his mind is just.
But that comes back to like what everyone says, like, oh, is he being like punished or whatever? But he can put the phone down at any time. He just prefers not to. So, and I'm grateful for the entertainment he's given us. But I still think he's a piece of scum.
I'm glad that the catfish haven't taught him to be a better person. Tiffany was close.
Some people tried. There was some different. I mean, to be honest, like
well, the drunk driving, they got him to try to stop.
The stuff that always made me laugh the most, though, is when people are most brutal to him. I don't know if it's just I'm a more cruel person than everyone else, but like when Winnie just starts going,
that dude.
Yeah, like just starts telling him she's sucked other men off and stuff. And he doesn't hang up though, or he does, but he phones straight back. And there's, he just needs that attention so much that he's willing to be cucked. And like that's my favorite thing, I think, in Lorne verse is him being cucked.
Do you remember catfish right now? It must be driving him crazy to be living his life, and he is somebody who does not want to be settle for being just a nobody, which would be a step up for him, right? He wants to be special. He thinks he's special in society. If he's not being catfished right now, and he's not getting the attention he used to get or thought he was getting, I wouldn't put it past him to like drop a dime with one of the Walmart clerks says, hey, did you check me out on YouTube? Just so that he can get some notoriety.
You're right there. What he'd actually do is
he'd
send them a link to his cooking video and say, oh, they're going to be really impressed that I'm a good chef, not thinking that they'll check out his other videos, then do a bit of background checking, then find the uncut footage, then find the phone calls.
Yeah.
And then
But at least he's got attention. That's all he wants. Even if they're running away from him, they at least know who he is. He's that kind of guy. He cannot just be. Well, he tried to be anonymous once with the cops, but he can't be anonymous.
Any interaction I think that he has with a woman that
Look what he
isn't
did to his house.
completely
You talk about
negative.
trying to get attention. Look what he did to his house. Jesus Christ.
Well, I found it very interesting the way he behaved with that woman that came round to look at the shed to live in, or what was
Very
it was,
revealing.
yeah, and how he behaved towards her afterwards. I think he is a misogynist.
Because he rejected him.
Yeah.
What
But
do you
I don't
mean?
think he understands.
What do you mean by you think he's a misogynist? Well, I know what you mean, but why do you think that? What do you think his attitude is?
Because she rejected him.
Yeah, the way
Everything comes down to that. She rejected him, and all the
She
hostility,
rejected him, but
all
the
the hate
whole
comes from that.
like you saw how mad he was about it. He was like slagging her off, calling her names, but there was like weird bits in it where he sort of mentioned how her clothing was too revealing and this sort of thing. And it's like, mate, who are you to judge whose clothes are too revealing? You're a fucking pedo. Like, he was just angry.
He kept her from the robot too. He didn't let her be part of that experience, and he did that on purpose.
Yeah, because he hoped that she and Roy would move in, but that he'd get a chance to have a pop on her or whatever.
Well, he would throw Roy out. That was his next plan, and keep her there.
Do you think that's what he would have done? Like,
absolutely.
But she was Roy's kind of not girlfriend, but friend, wasn't she? Though, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I heard they cuddled or something, and they did it in front of Lorne, I guess. I mean, that must have drove him crazy.
He's getting cuffed by Roy. I wonder if that's happened a lot, and that explains his like love for being like Roy's just constantly cucking Lorne, like cuddling with all these old slappers in front of him.
Well, End of the Codverse, actually, what I'm more interested in nowadays is not so much what's going on in his catfish world, but how he interacts with everybody. Reborn always apologizes, and he shouldn't, for sometimes what he considers boring calls where he's just doing his everyday business. And I love those calls.
I do. I like them all. I like the boring stuff.
I want to see how he interacts with people, And when I found out about those Walmart girls, and then I found out about him chasing this girl around in his truck in town, I'm thinking, we don't fucking really know this guy, how dangerous he is.
Wait, what do you mean chasing a girl around in his truck? I never heard about that.
Well, that was that same girl that she said on her way out, her parting shot was, and I see you following me around in town in that truck.
Oh, yeah.
She recognized that truck. That's what it was, not necessarily him. So
there was the possibility that he was doing some kind of minor stalking in his truck, checking her out, driving past the place, maybe. We don't know.
I don't think we have any idea how dangerous he is.
I think his unawareness makes him dangerous, his lack of awareness, his lack of decorum. He's kind of... The fact that he went to Walmart and said, "Do you want to make some money?" to a girl. This is a registered sex offender who's been... Not only is he a registered sex offender, he's probably the most Googled person below Andrew Tate or something. On YouTube, he must have... I can't even imagine how many videos there are in relation to Lorne. And he knows that, but he doesn't...
I just think... to do that at all, like, it takes some like mad sort of lack of self-awareness,
almost psychotic tendencies.
Yes, I wouldn't go up to. I mean, there's some fit girls in my local supermarket. I'd love to.
Yeah, that's why I'm coming back soon, dude.
But like, they are all sort of like 19, 20, 21.
You've fucking dropped me in it there, pal, haven't you? Well done.
yeah, but this is the trouble with living in this sort of place, though. Like, because it's full of old people, and like everyone wants to leave, so the only hot women are just new ones. Wait, but
fucking going on about you. New ones.
Anyway,
Children,
in
you mean?
Morrison's, no, not children, but like, what's the word? Coming of age, of legal age. But
Little
there's
cuties. Little cutie too, right? As Lorne would
yeah,
say.
exactly, little cutie in the Morrisons.
Mhm.
But yeah, but I wouldn't go up to any of those girls, even if I was sure that they were legal, and I wouldn't go up to any of them and offer them a job because it'd be fucking weird.
It's the way he worded it, though, from what he recounted. You know, we've got to just take his word for it. Go up to a girl. It's not only would you like a job or something. Do you want to earn some money? Ooh.
Well, that's what he said, though, wasn't he? He
Yeah.
goes, well, I didn't tell her what the job was. He's like, that doesn't make it better. That makes it worse. Like, you want to earn some extra cash, baby?
I've said this
Wink,
before,
wink.
but I think that's the same checkout girl that he probably purchases his condoms from. I think he works that all the time, and he's probably the kind of guy that will wait back in an aisle to make sure her line's not too filled and go to an obvious one that's open. You know, you get the timing right. He, that's who he is. When I say we don't really know who he is, it's those kinds of things that he even keeps from the catfish. You know, that we don't know about. I think that makes him ultra dangerous.
It's the same mentality as
Yeah.
well. Do you know, like when we talk about like Jamie Amy is this supermodel? I mean, I've seen a picture of this Jamie Amy. It's a stunning woman. Everybody can agree. This is a guy who has the mentality that thinks a girl like that is interested in marrying him without meeting him. It goes
It's
without
interesting you
saying.
mentioned that.
It goes without saying, and I don't wish to patronise anybody that's listening. This is a very deranged, sick guy who,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he kind of has his faculties about him. He can, when I say that, he can hold a job down. He can communicate, not very articulately. He's not what you would consider completely out of it. He doesn't need. Do you understand what I mean? You see some people. So, in other words, what I would say, if you sort of painted a picture or wrote a report about Lorne and said, right, these are the behaviour he's engaged in, you'd be like, this guy needs to be institutionalised permanently, which I think he does. But you would think there's no way this guy could ever operate in society in any kind of way.
Totally
But Lorne,
delusional. Right?
yeah, but he's not quite as far gone as what you might think. But yet, when it comes to things like social interactions, even finances, a lot of people are like that. I mean, that's another matter. But
It's interesting you brought that point up because as you said, as I told you guys a few streams ago, I was doing some research on incels and the movement and everything else. And one striking characteristic came out that Lorne checks off right away, and that is that a lot of these incels could get a date if they wanted to. You know, somebody in their league, somebody in their station of life, whatever it is, but they only choose what Lorne does to go after the young and the most beautiful. And not only that, they feel like they deserve that person.
Yeah.
And they're resentful if they don't. So their sights are so lofty that that's what keeps them involuntarily celibate, and that's Lorne.
To go off topic a little bit as well, but based on what you're saying there, Shin, like that's the trouble with the whole kind of incel community, and I think to an extent the internet in itself and current sort of or recent celebrity culture instills people, and I think Lorne displays this a lot with sort of a false belief that they deserve the hottest looking
That's him.
person.
that's
thinks
exactly
that
what
he
Shin's
loves
saying.
you.
I agree. I think there's different aspects to the incel culture. I find that they have a very negative attitude towards women. I don't feel that Lorne thinks like that, at least in the catfish mode. He thinks he's achieved what he's set out to. And I didn't. So there is elements of him that can be attributed to it. But that whole incel culture thing that you were looking into, Shin, it's kind of its own movement, isn't it? And it all seems to be an incredibly negative attitude towards women.
It's people who are openly jealous of guys. It's this is Lorne to a T.
Chads and Tyrones.
Yeah, exactly. And Lorne, like I said, Lorne could get a woman if he wanted to. Somebody is,
In his league.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd love to see
serial
that
killers on
woman.
death row are
I'd
getting
love
married,
to see that woman, man.
Well,
The
it
thing-
wouldn't be somebody that Lorne, somebody who he can get Lorne would want to parade around. That's for sure. That's one of the reasons why he wants that woman for clout, for status. I mean, that young, beautiful. The idea of going to the store hand in hand, all that shit. But when they're in the trailer together, he doesn't have a fucking clue.
But that's why he puts posters up of his girlfriend. So that people can see
But
just
to be
how
fair, if I was
she
going out
is
with that Jamie Amy, I'd be putting posters of her up as well, to be fair.
Yeah, but
she's
you wouldn't
6
if
feet
you'd
too,
never
Andrew.
had proof that she was real.
That is a very good point. Unfortunately, as much as I don't like to admit this, I don't do too bad sometimes in that department, but I will not be pulling a girl like Jamie Amy. I know where my limitations lie. Although, you never know, but yeah, highly unlikely.
But then at the same time, I think if a hot girl throws herself at you, not to defend Lorne, because that's never a good thing, but like I think everyone that's got a bit of that isn't like completely devoid of of ego. If a hot girl throws herself at you, and I think it's different for everyone else, for normal people though, because we sort of do things to confirm that person's real. Like you wouldn't put up with this stuff from a person you couldn't at least video chat with and verify that they're a real person. But he does that because he's like his culture and technology is still so dated, along with all of his views.
Heel Rig has just
Again,
said, you think Jamie Amy's the first beautiful woman Lorne's dated? Because he actually said that, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, he said he was
we've
a
said this
male
million
slut
times.
as well, so...
We've said this so many times, but how about the guy working the photo counter at Walmart making these posters for Lorne? Oh, would you love
Imagine
to be in
being
his
that
shoes?
guy.
Would you love to be in his shoes? Wouldn't you just love that? Just engage him in conversations. Oh, who is this? Your girlfriend, huh? Or actually my fiance. Oh, it's like, I wonder why they tagged him.
I think if you think about the famous, like our favourite comedy characters, sort of fictional, Adam, I know we mention this often, is one that, in fact, all three of us here share this character as one of our favourites, is David Brent from the British Office. And the reason he's so funny, he's very different to Lorne in that he's kind of a lovable character. No, he's a likable character because he just wants to be good to people.
He's not. I don't know if he's likable.
You pity him. You pity him.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. But what I mean is you don't hate him, but he means well. But the key thing that he shares with Lorne is his total lack of awareness of how other people perceive him completely. That's where the humour comes from.
Dance.
That's totally Lorne. But with Lorne...
You mean like the dance? Like Ricky Gervais's dance?
But when he does the... when he does the comedy sketch, his little comedic stand-up routine, when he goes to the new office and he's telling all them jokes and he's got his little piece of paper he's reading from, it's like the most unfunny comedy stand-up ever. And it nails the character perfectly. But the thing is with him...
You know what he said about me being on top of a pile of men? I can honestly say I've never come over a little queer.
Yeah, and nobody laughs.
That was the first inter-office, both offices merging meeting, right?
That's right.
I actually saw Ricky Gervais. I actually saw Ricky Gervais in a boxing match. Let me tell you, that guy
against Grant Bovey, right? Andrea Turner's
that
boyfriend.
guy could fight. Ricky Gervais.
He won, didn't he?
Guy.
It was on points though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he had good technique. He had good power. And the other guy was bigger than him.
But that was about 15 years ago now. I don't think Ricky's in that sort of shape anymore. But yeah,
There's been a
that
rape
was
up there.
get their attention.
With Lorne's lack of awareness, though, it's like I almost feel like there's some kind of psychological illness there, and I'm not trying to give him a get out here, but it's almost otherworldly how stupid he is. I can't. It's something that. So, for instance, if you'd have gone back several years, and someone, let's just say when first contact was made with him, it says like first contact with an alien species, woo, but when first contact was made with him from Ember, if someone had gone to you, right, in 7 years time, they'll get Lorne to talk to a robot on the phone for 2 years and to believe that this robot is romantically interested in him and it'll keep him on the phone for ages, you'd have gone, even Lorne is not that fucking dumb. But do you know what? He actually is. Like, what? Yeah. It's incredible that this it's just now, it still boggles the mind. Like, we've never been able to really understand how dumb he is.
He's got nothing better, Andrew, number one. Number two, he thinks that somebody on the other end, possibly a woman, most likely a woman, and hopefully the same woman who's sending him the same pictures, there's a chance that can happen. It's like you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? That's him.
Well,
he's got to play those.
How often that does happen to older people in romance scams. I mean, those still happen to that day. So it's not that like far-fetched for him to think.
No, I suppose you're right, really, because I was watching a couple of them on BBC the other day about like, are they referred to as romance scammed? But
it's like the one Facebook. You meet someone on Facebook, and like an old lady meets a guy that's supposedly in the army, but then he needs money to get out of his country or whatever. But it's always some or a hot woman, and then she needs you to send her some money to leave.
This is it's kind of like, the thing is, if you've never been exposed to that side of the internet before, and you're very naive and you're not technically minded.
Yeah.
But Lorne is someone who has spent the last 20 years of his life being catfished, and he's talking to a robot. It doesn't compute. No pun.
But it's also he's got such a void of loneliness. Like, he's not the guy has literally nothing going on for him. It's better for him to be on the phone arguing with a man that's a woman, or a woman, than
or
for
feeling
him to
like
be.
They have time. It feel like he's given his time to someone. You and I talked about this, Andrew, before we went on. One of the things that Lorne does appreciate is the value of time. He understands that. He understands that he wants to give his time to someone, and he wants someone to give their time to him, and only him, where they're the only two people in the universe in that moment. That's all he cares about. Whether they're arguing, doesn't matter, as long as he has your time and nobody else does. That's where him and I kind of have, we were talking about doing that stream about any similarities you might have to Lorne. I value time a lot too. I don't want to waste time, but Lorne does too. But he doesn't really give so much a shit about his own time, other than trying to spend it with someone else's time. That's it.
Yeah.
When it comes to his catfish,
that's like, he doesn't all he does except for that is like watch TV or do some pretend work on his house that somehow makes it worse every fucking time. So he's not got anything.
That's it. Just talk to his dogs.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. It's really like. And the thing is, like, if he had one interest or one hobby or something, he might actually have more
He's
of
got
a
loads of hobbies,
dude.
character. Don't be unfair to him.
Sending dick and arsehole pics.
Right. Do you want me to list what his hobbies are? Cooking,
yard flip,
bodybuilding, poetry, songwriting, guitar playing, entrepreneurism.
Right, wanking off shake weights, wailing like a fucking cat, playing a broken guitar, and being a cunt are not hobbies.
They're not, but he's got other hobbies.
And he doesn't do any of those things anymore.
He's
he just
YouTuber.
sits at home.
Yeah, but those are all isolated events. Those are all isolated from social contact. Those are all things that he has to do on his own.
You can do
His problem is
not hobbies don't have to be shared. People can have, hobbies
no, I
that
know, but we're talking. His biggest problem is he's not socialized.
well, he can't
He
be. He
doesn't
lives in the
have
middle of
any.
nowhere and no one likes him. He's got no friends. Of course, he's
That's
not
what I mean, and it's
socialized.
always been that way. It's always been that way. He's not domesticated.
That's the thing about Lorne. It
He's
probably
a feral
goes.
human.
It goes into his character about him being so needy and desperate. And if he wasn't so despicable, I might almost feel sorry for him. But how much of a terrible thing must it be to have gone through life and to have never had a real friend or a real relationship? Like, how terrible. I mean, putting aside the fact that he's never had a loving romantic relationship or potentially
You're
even
right.
sex, he's never even had a friend. I mean, were Tony and Wendy friends?
No,
I
Tony
mean,
was a cast off from Paul, so he never made. I guess a better way of saying it, he's never made friends before.
yeah.
Everybody. Elton's a family friend, so he didn't go out and meet him. He won't go to a place, hit it off with somebody, and then say let's go fishing next weekend or something. He can't do that. His conversations are extremely superficial, extremely surface, and beyond. And it's not. It doesn't take too long to figure that out as being the other person.
Even with the Tony friendship, there was a weird dynamic where he was only allowed to visit if he brought like beer and food for
Couldn't use
Wendy.
his bathroom.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to use the bathroom. He had to go outside to piss.
Yeah, and it sounded like Tony got off on putting Lorne down, like he used him to sort of feel better about himself. That's the impression I
Makes
got.
me wonder. Yeah, it makes me wonder whether Tony was watching this shit on watching Lorne on YouTube.
Well, isn't there a call where Tony says to him, like he imitates the cops from The Sting and goes, "Get on the ground, get down," or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another hobby
But-
of Lorne's that Sorry Please is mentioned. He likes photography, which is very true. He takes a lot of photographs.
Yeah, but that was the thing I said. Taking pics of your dick and arsehole, that's not photography.
Oh right, sorry, I thought it was, but maybe not.
Yeah. That's why you were going to put that on your profile. I'm a photographer of my dick.
Yeah, still a photographer.
It still counts.
Taking
But,
photographs. Sue me.
That baffles me. I don't understand. You send some dick pics or whatever. The woman has seen it in so many different angles. Why does it have to be done on a daily basis? Why do you have to have one every day? What is going to be what's changed about that?
The arsehole pics are beyond me. Like, just why? Like, why? Who wants to see that?
I think we
Like,
talked about
That's about as
this.
close as you can get to someone. Adam, that's about as close as you can get to someone by sharing your asshole.
Yeah, we
That's-
talked about that,
that's-
didn't
In
we?
his mind.
We were like, it was the only thing that Lorne had left in his arsenal, is that to
Right.
to basically
it's like
send
a-
that picture. I sent you a photo of my literal asshole. It was like, because
Yeah.
he'd done that.
It's-
Because Lorne's idea of love, it's not how
Yeah.
much the other person loves him, it's how much he does to show that person that he loves them. That seems
It's like he's
that's the
He's
token
essentially
of-
saying, "Go ahead and cavity search me." That's what he's saying. I want you to know everything about me.
exactly, yeah.
Go ahead, dig down there and see what you got. Go ahead.
How is a picture of your asshole like the ultimate token of love?
Exactly.
The
Like,
twisted
Look it up
world of
enough to
Lorne
be better
Armstrong,
than
eh?
this.
Maybe that's where I've been going wrong. Maybe that's why I'm single. I've never gone to that.
Did your last boyfriend give you this? That's how much I love you.
You'll never leave me now. You've got a
That's right.
picture
It's
of my
proof of his love.
butthole.
Exactly. He does whatever it takes to prove his love.
Imagine look, your girlfriend the next day
Get on
invites
your
all her
rope
friends
now.
around. I've got a big announcement to make. He finally did it. He showed me his arsehole. He's the
Right.
one.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah. Hooray!
They'd be like,
Let's have an arsehole
me and
shower."
Lisa are expecting. It's like, I showed him a picture of my arsehole.
Yeah. I don't think I ever saw that. I think I saw it, but it was black. The specific asshole was blocked out, but it was the angle that he was doing it with.
I
I
don't
can't remember
think
what it
I've
was.
ever had a look at that. I don't think I could bring myself to.
Think
No.
about how he sets those up. Spends hours doing that instead of working, getting a job.
Um, just we're gonna have to wrap it up soon. Not talking about, but just very quickly to touch on some more of his comedic genius is the robot calls for me.
No, boy, no.
What's that? If you want to see, brilliant. Do you know the robot
Thank you,
calls
buddy.
I were talking about? Sometimes it's just normal Lorne's normal life because they can't all be Rod style rages, can they? So,
Yeah.
but when it's getting a bit dull, and I don't mean that like offensively to Reborn or anybody that made the videos, because of course none of them are dull where Lorne's concerned. But when they're not as exciting and he's not raging, all I have to do is think he's talking to a robot.
Oh, God.
He's never met anybody. He's talking to this robot, and I start laughing instantly because sometimes you get engrossed in it. You sort of, you know, you're trying to look at it from Lon's perspective, and you forget he's talking to this robot that's had this problem with her voice for 2 years, and you're like, hang on a minute. How many hours a day did you spend looking for a job? Yeah, yeah. And let's not forget Lon's hilarious proposals. I mean, they are maybe the funniest, disgustingest, ridiculous. Do you want to marry me, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
Soon, you
Well,
fucking slack.
It seems like his proposals are only done under two emotions. He's either angry or he's crying, sad. It's never when things are good, you know. It's
That's
never.
a good point.
Like he's
It's never
pulling his
like, oh,
eyes out because they've just sucked
I had a great
someone else
time
off.
with you tonight.
Like, this will fix it. Will you marry me?
I don't care how much we've been fighting today. I want to fucking marry you. Will you marry me?
You're my woman.
No.
They're
You
really
better be saying
aggressive.
yes pretty fucking soon.
Fucking soon.
And then it comes down to, you don't understand. What it comes down to is you don't understand how much I love you. Why don't you believe me when I tell you? Like he's creating his own issue. Like, I believe you. I believe you.
Oh, it's so funny that I need to find that. Do you want to marry me, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit? I've never heard that. I've never heard it. I've only got you guys telling me about it.
It was in. You'll have to go back in our Skype messages because I think I messaged you and quoted it. Hopefully, because I want to know which call it's in as well. Because do you want to marry me, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
Oh,
It's gonna be the best proposal ever.
What about the end of the converse mentioned the dick through the loose leaf paper with a proposal on it? Who the fuck does that? Jesus Christ!
Which one of the two categories was he in then, Shin, when he was proposing? Then
Well, that was
he...
Winnie, I believe. That was Winnie.
No, but what I mean is, you said when he's proposing, he's either what is it? He's either angry or crying.
Oh,
like, what was he doing there?
Then I think. Well, yeah, but I'm talking about. I guess verbal. I guess I have to say it that way. I mean, when he's happy, he just sticks his dick through a piece of paper with a proposal on it. But it's not only that. The proposals come also when he is panicked.
Yeah, but they're proposals, but they're also like threats. That's what makes them brilliant.
Threats.
Get him the fuck away from you. You exactly.
It's like you better be saying yes pretty fucking soon. Or what?
I've got a red dot on you right now.
Yeah. Will you marry me? No. Well, you better be saying yes soon, or you're gonna get fucked up, you bitch. Sorry.
That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah.
Oh dear. And the thing is as well, we've done this just over an hour. We've not even scratched the surface of of his comedic history. But of course, it's all unintentional comedy, which is what we talked about earlier. And you know something, one of the main sources of his unintentional comedic genius is the lawsuits. The stuff that they contain. I remember that bit that Amanda James was reading where I was tricked by a cunning female decoy or something along those lines. It was just
unintentional traveler.
Unintentional travel. I remember when we read that, and I was just, it was written from the third person, so he said, Mr. Armstrong unintentionally travelled to the Sting House.
Which was, I think, the best comedic performance, the Sting House. Clearly the best comedic performance.
Well, physical comedy. So this fun. Is a different. You change it. You're going into the realms of something else here, dude. This is like it's stand-up material.
Well, he tried to be funny. Where they yell at me, why don't you? That was an intentional joke, right?
That's very true.
Yeah, that didn't land, right?
He's like he told another gag as well.
I Want to Kiss First may have been.
How was your trip? It was terrible. Actually, it was all right. He was trying to be funny.
There we go. The first one, exactly.
But that's not funny though.
Exactly.
It's nothing funny about being contrary.
It is hilarious, Adam. It is so
this is why he doesn't have any friends though, as well. Like he's got no wit. He's not intelligent. He's like he's boring when he's not enraged or talking sexually. Like no wonder no one wants to be his mate.
Like boring is interesting to me for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like the sheetrock talk and stuff. Like sometimes I can, if I'm listening, like I'll listen to that. No,
not that. Not when he's trying to impress somebody. I'm talking about when he's. Well, I guess he's always trying to impress somebody.
Is he trying to impress people when he's talking about fucking sheetrock?
Every time. But to me, like that Lorne talking to himself for 3.5 hours. That one where he takes you through from the time he wakes up until 3.5 hours later when he's at work.
I was listening. Oh, sorry, listening to the one the other day where he was flagging with that guy, and that one was quite interesting.
That's because he's interacting with other people. But where he's talking to himself for 3.5 hours, it's like a journey through his hell.
Oh, but that's a really good. That calls a really good example of how bad his fucking comedy is, though. Like they have this like recurring joke about the fucking trucks.
Oh, you're a faggot. You're a faggot. You're a faggot. You know, and
didn't even catch that bit.
And then the other one was worse than Jerry's kids. He's referring to Jerry Lewis's muscular dystrophy. Charity, it's such bad fucking taste jokes,
Oh, I didn't even catch either of those jokes, to be honest. They're better than what I heard. It was just them going, "Oh, I've got a toy truck coming your way."
Oh no, we're not talking about that call. I'm talking about the call of the 3.5 hours where he's talking to himself. Him and Roy. Actually, Roy gets involved. Yeah. But I love that one too, where he's talking to Ralph. I think that's his name.
It was interesting, but it was like you see how he interacts with other people. Just like this guy is tiresome. Like that's why you wouldn't be friends with him in real life. Like when he's not being a weird, deviant or enraged masturbator, he's just got no banter at all. He's literally got nothing going on for him, nothing that would appeal for anyone to be a friend to him.
Wow. Give him a break, Adam. Jesus.
He's a
Why would anybody be friends with this weirdo?
Oh, yeah.
Very true.
Tommy Chong impersonation is, Ember.
Oh, God, I hate that. It grates on me now. Although there was a call I was listening to where he was talking to a man. I think it was one of the older calls. It might have been like Angelo or it might have been Dan. And I noticed like he was like quite surprised. I think it was Dan, and Dan was being very aggressive with him. And he sort of said, "Man," in his like Tommy Chong way, but by accident in that call. And I was like, yeah, like the way he's like to do his Tommy Chong impression, he just adds "man" to the end of whatever he's saying.
Right.
Right, we're gonna have to wrap it up, guys. We could do loads on these because we've not even. There's so much stuff we've not even touched upon. Because
Can I ask one quick question before we finish? Do you know what a throat is?
I'm kind of struggling with that. Really, I've never really heard of one before.
No.
I've heard of a stroke, but I've not heard of a throat.
I've not heard of a throat. No one's ever mentioned throats to me before.
That's one of his funny. Like he digs himself into these holes. It's so funny.
Oh, I thought you said throat. Like, why not just make up a fucking word and then say, "Oh, I misheard"? Like, oh, I didn't understand, so I'm gonna change it to a simpler
You
word
don't know what
and
a
say I
throat
didn't.
is?
No.
Oh, brilliant. Right, anyway, thank you for joining us, everybody, on exploring the comedy stylings of Lorne Armstrong. Thank you, Shin, dude.
Thanks, man.
Lots of when we can get everybody together, we've got lots of topics to go into, guys. So if you're ever worried, even though the robot calls and whatnot and the catfishing can't continue forever, our conversations about them will never dry up as long as I've got a little bit of time every now and again. So we can always get together and revel in his glory, his anti-glory, shall we say. So yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been good fun to have Adam and Shin with me. So thanks, Adam, as well for joining us.
Yeah, no worries. I'm just looking like, don't ever worry about the content because one day we'll do that 12-hour stream about how he sucked his brother off.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that, Andrew, whether you like it.
Right, yeah. Right, okay, guys. Like I said, thanks for joining us. Don't know when we'll be back soon, but at some point when we can get everybody together. We've still got 2/3 of the chat log to go through. It's only took us 3 years to get to this point, so lots of material. So, yeah, everything's good. So, yeah, take it easy.